Welcome to this episode, this very special episode of Meet GITA, because as we will find out later, this is a surprise now. Cecile, who's a very dear friend, and we have not only a lot of fun, but we also do some things together, is here today to talk about what she's doing, what she's looking for, and why she's part of GITA. So let's dive right in. Thank you, Cecile, for being here.
Thanks, Thomas, for having me. It's so much fun always, so I'm always happy to do things with you.
Thank you. And so let's dive right in and look at and share with us, what are you working on? What's keeping you busy?
So I recently, a few months ago, joined Israel's largest venture capital fund called Pitango as head of impact and sustainability, after having worked in the impact investing space for many, many years and investing in impact tech companies. And in my role in Pitango, which is actually a very pioneer role, I'm adapting and adopting ESG and SDG methodologies into mainstream venture capital. That means that I'm working on creating a strategy of ESG integration into the fund's processes across all funds, across all domains. So we have early stage growth and healthcare, so all of them. In how we review companies, how we do diligence, how we treat the companies we've already invested in, which are in our portfolio, and what do we do ourselves in terms of our own organization. So it's really a change that is taking place within Pitango, which is very impressive, with the engagement of the team, the partners and the whole team. And eventually, ultimately, we will be integrating all the ESG and SDG methodologies into how we make investments in the aim of mainstreaming impact, so that every venture capital fund in the world will just focus on investing in companies that have a high and positive measurable impact. Now, next to that, I'm also the chairperson and co-founder of GITA, which also keeps me busy and is also a very important project for me. With that, this is, of course, a matching activity that I do, because it's much more of a encompassing nature as an ecosystem. And Pitango is one example of how the ecosystem should work and how GITA should help scale and proliferate what Pitango is doing into other VCs as well. So that's what I'm doing.
And I think so. I think it's important to say that this work that you do at Pitango, moving your 30 plus years of deep knowledge in impact and impact investing into the mainstream came after GITA. So GITA was first, and then your role, your day job in Pitango, the 100% of the 300% that Cecile works is yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that look into your activity, what do you need? What do you wish for? What are you looking for? How can people interact with you and take part in what you do?
So on the Pitango side, I feel like I'm really writing the playbook for mainstream VCs to integrate ESG and SG methodologies into mainstream investing. And I'd be happy if I could reach out to more and more mainstream VCs around the world who would be interested in applying the same ideas, philosophy, and methodology, and potentially just take what we do and tweak it to their needs. But basically, create like a ripple effect where more and more mainstream VCs will just come up and say, okay, so if Pitango can do it, then we can as well, and let's adopt it as well. So for this, I'm reaching out to my colleagues in venture funds around the world who are looking at technology innovation, and I'd like to help them think about these innovations and these investments as something that can really improve our planet and our society. On the GITA hat, which again is a slightly different perspective, since we're building an ecosystem of impact tech, and we're focusing now on the practitioners, meaning the funders the consultants, the academy, the teachers, the accelerators, the boot camps, the hubs, everyone who really is there to support impact tech practitioners or impact tech entrepreneurs. I'd like to reach out to all of these people who are in this business and people who want to be in this business. It can also be mainstream hubs or mainstream VCs that want to integrate and learn, to please reach out and join us as members of GITA, because we are only as strong as our community is. GITA is a tool that is supposed to create an ecosystem of services, knowledge, access, information, training, consulting, everything around supporting a thriving and scaling ecosystem of impact tech entrepreneurs. Because ultimately, we want to strive to have technology used as a force for good. So, and we believe this is the way to do it. So if I could reach out and ask people to support it, it would be in the sense of connecting with us at GITA, participate in the communities, potentially set up their own communities, local GITA communities like you did with GITA Germany, and eventually create that ripple effect in which we will have more and more practitioners that will eventually help mainstream this industry and really scale it. That I think would be my biggest ask.
So essentially in both of these roles, you're looking for the same thing. You're looking for those people who are either moving the needle when it comes to technology-driven impact as practitioners, as investors, or want to become practitioners. Of course, the interaction would be slightly different, but it's the same kind of people, because you are the same person in both of these roles, right? So
yes, with one caveat, and that is that people who are already practitioners in the impact tech market, and they are out there. I mean, there are impact tech funds, which are what I call impact native funds. They are very disconnected one from the other. And these people are already, like, they're born out of impact. The reason they founded their funds and their accelerator and whatever consulting work they do, etc., is designed to make an impact. Whereas the mainstream VCs might not even know what impact is or what it means, or might think it's kind of a fluffy, definition, and instead might want to be now exposed to the Sustainable Development Goals, understand what ESG means, understand how that relates to what they are actually doing right now, embrace the fact that there is no compromise between financial returns and making positive impact. So it's a little bit of a different mindset, and also maybe different people. I do believe that mainstream VCs also hire millennials and people who have that in their DNA anyway to begin with, but they might not be designed that way. So there is a difference between the mainstream VCs who are gradually going to adopt what I think is going to be the winning methodology, as opposed to the natives, which already have adopted it and are really looking for a home. So they're looking for a community, they're looking for collaboration opportunities, they're looking for tools, for agreed definitions, they're looking for ways to make better evaluations of the companies they're reviewing, better ways to fundraise, better ways to make these entrepreneurs better. So I think it's slightly different in terms of their DNA, but ultimately the result will be the same.
Okay. You've already given it away that your role in GITA is especially active. Yeah, well, that's the way things go, right? Especially active because GITA is your brainchild, right? So you invented GITA. So if it would be a weird question to ask, why are you part of GITA? So for today, we will change that question into, why did you come up with GITA?
So you know how they say that necessity is the mother of invention? So it's true here as well. I've been an impact tech practitioner for many, many years. I started almost 20 years ago. I also founded the first impact investing company that invested in high-tech companies in Israel creating positive impact, what I again call impact native companies or early stage startups. I was among the first people who really brought the whole methodologies to Israel with deep understanding of what impact means and what is an impact tech entrepreneur and what isn't, what is positive impact, how do you measure the net impact, how do you help mitigate the risks of negative impact and mission drift. So all these methodologies that today you Google them. So I was in the teams that invented them and implemented them. And with time, I realized more and more that a lot of people are just very, very taken by the idea. So entrepreneurs, investors, just people, the students, people who work in a bank or in a venture fund or I don't know, in a nonprofit. So a lot of people are really interested to learn how to do that, how to actually become embedded in this industry and how to integrate what they see as normal, like the integration of purpose and profit into their day job or have a new job at that. And so that's one part. The other part is my own inability to scale. So I had to invent pretty much everything I did. So when I wanted to use a measurement tool to measure the impact of the portfolio companies of Impact First, I couldn't use the existing measurement tools because they are not tweaked and fit to tech. A lot of the questions being reviewed and asked are not relevant for tech, but other questions which should be asked are just not there. So eventually I had to build these tools. I had to figure out things by myself. I had to, when I was thinking about reaching out to other investors and potentially sharing deals or asking them how they did these things, it was very hard to find them. I went to all these conferences and meetups, etc., just to meet people who are themselves practitioners, and I found out that nobody knows nobody else. It's like, it's tragic. So I had to invent the tools. I had to find the people, and of course I only found a small fraction of these practitioners. And three, I had all these people who really wanted to work in this space and asked me how to do it. And even I only have 24 hours a day. I just couldn't do all of this, and it became such a scale that I was approached, I still am, 5 times a day by people who really want to just spend an hour with me and ask me how they can possibly be in this space. And I really, really want to help all of these people because I think this is amazing talents. These are really amazing people. I just don't have the capacity anymore. And I don't understand why we should all reinvent the wheel every time we want to make an investment, or reinvent our methodologies of measurement every time we make a fund. Or why can't we just share information about fundraising, share information about what's out there in terms of the knowledge? And unfortunately, I just didn't have a solution. So for a long time, I was like really, you know how like a chicken sits on the egg waiting for it to hatch? Somehow I was thinking, okay, so maybe somebody in the world will do this, and then there will be an organization that will take care of it. So I was sitting on a dinosaur egg apparently, because eventually I just said, okay, you know what, it's not happening. Let's just do it. And that's when I teamed up with Lihi Schooler, who is my co-founder, who is like the best partner I could ask for, because she's the number one person in Israel who really consulted anybody who wanted to do anything about impact, and particularly with tech. So I think between the two of us, we were the people who are really being approached all the time with all these questions, and we keep repeating the same answers to different people. And we said, okay, let's just scale it. Let's just set up an organization that will, first of all, create a community and bring everybody together. And then start speaking the same language, and then start distributing what we know in terms of the knowledge of the tools, etc., but also in terms of training. Let's just, instead of just having one-on-one conversations, let's have 1 on 100 conversations. And then we can scale the knowledge and distribute it. Let's train people who can teach other people. So that's really, it's like, it's burning in me, and I had to.
We can hear it. We can feel it. And I know it. So to everybody listening, I've seen it live. I've seen Cecile burn multiple times. So
with passion, burn with passion.
Of course, only with passion. Only with passion. And I just want to, because we're running out of time, unfortunately, but I just want to highlight that the core of what you were describing is this necessity and this deep understanding that collaboration is stronger than competition, that is embedded very, very deeply at the core of what GITA does. And that is what makes it such a unique organization. And that's why I for example, love it, because I totally believe that openness, collaboration is the way forward, is the only way we can move into a new way of doing things that is so necessary.
Absolutely. And you know, when we founded GITA 6 months ago, just 6 months ago, but it's been like totally taken over, we asked people 3 questions. What are your needs? What can you contribute? And what are your priorities? And this is really how we build the GITA community. It's really by the community and for the community, because we can't take care of everything at once. So we'll prioritize, but we're trying to address the needs, and we're also trying to tap into the talent and abilities of people in the community to contribute to others. And you know what? People are very collaborative by nature. I believe that people really do want to work together, and they can all make a career out of it. It's not something that when we collaborate, it means that we're all about, you know, holding hands and hugging trees and we're not going to make any money. On the contrary, I think this will be the key for people to get into new professions that have this knowledge embedded into them. And then they will have the water source to drink from in order to make themselves even better. And then they will contribute back into the well.
Okay, to the listeners, I promise that Cecile and I will have a longer conversation that we will also share. But for the purpose of this conversation, I think we're at a very good point. And for the next conversation, we're also at a very good starting point, because we could now dive into 2 hours of nonstop conversation. Thank you so much.
Or 2 days.
2 days, no problem.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for doing this series. It's amazing. And you're interviewing amazing people. I'm so happy. Thank you for this.
Thank you for inventing GITA.
Thank you, everyone.